What's going on, Niner fam? It's Peter Lucas, and I got with me, he needs no introduction. I got Jay in the Bay with me. You know that you see the mask, you know what it is. So this is the Niner Fanatic Podcast. Hey, what's going on, everybody? And once again, it's Peter Lucas. I got with me the Jay in the Bay, and this is the Niner Fanatic Podcast. Jay, I know you want to do your introduction, so I'm gonna let you do you.
Absolutely. Faithful Niner Empire. What's good? You know who it is. It's your boy, Jay in the Bay. Appreciate you having me on tonight, Pete. And I love joining the Niner Fanatic podcast. And I'm glad to be on tonight. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I love having you on. Tons of energy. Love the energy you bring and love your show. Why don't you tell everybody where, because you're on a couple of different shows now. So why don't you let everybody know where they can find you on the socials?
Hey, appreciate it, man. Appreciate that. So you can find Jay in the Bay on Twitter, IG, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, and on that channel, Jay in the Bay YouTube channel, I talk everything. Of course, you see it, 49ers updates, live streams, pregame live stream, postgame live stream. Sometimes I do a call-in show where guests can call in, voice their opinion about the 49ers. Also got to represent, straight out of the Bay. It's a new group we started, or actually, excuse me, Celts Chronicles started. So I'm happy to be along for the ride, but it's Celts Chronicles, myself, Amin the Dream, and Bay Area Baller 18, and we go live every Monday night, usually around 8:15, right after the Monday night game. So that's where you can find Jay in the Bay and Straight Out of the Bay.
Yeah, and those shows, all of his shows are awesome. I love all of it. Celts is my guy too. Uh, I'm on with him on every Wednesday on Last Man Standing with the Niner Sickness and Forever Faithful with Brandon. So we do all the NFL, the complete NFL picks for the week, and it's good time, like good guys, good content. So make sure you guys all check it out. Make sure you guys, it doesn't matter where you get it, just get it. And but today, and I want to say hello to the lovely Melissa. Appreciate you coming through. And yeah, I had a great Thanksgiving. And I hope you did too. And I think we were talking in the back. Jay, sounds like you had a good one too.
Absolutely.
And she
Appreciate
liked our
that,
hats
Melissa.
too. So
Appreciate that.
But yeah, so we got another game this Sunday against the Saints, coming off of a big, huge win that against the Cardinals, and which the 49ers really dominated in that game. But I think that all these games down the stretch are going to really matter for the rest of the season, because the 49ers absolutely can have no letdowns, because there's a few in there that are going to be tough games. And this is I feel like this is one of those iffy games, because you don't really know which Saints team is going to show up. They're a little inconsistent, the 49ers had been earlier in the year. But what do you think the biggest aspects of this game coming up to look for? What do you think the things that we're going to have to look for, in your opinion, in this game?
I think the 49ers have to play the Saints and not worry about their record. Just worry about, hey, this is a team flying all the way to Santa Clara. They get paid just like we do. They put on their shoulder pads and their pants the same way we do, and have appropriate fear when facing the New Orleans Saints. Now, the Saints, they've only won one road game this year. That was the first game of the season. versus the Atlanta Falcons. They only won by 1 point. And as you said, the Saints are a consistent team. But I think the 49ers, it's going to be imperative for the 49ers to win on third down. And the Saints have been quite terrible in their last 3 games on third down. They're one of the worst offenses on third down as far as conversion rate. And defense, they allow 50% on third down conversion rate. So the 49ers definitely have to win on third down in order to continue drives and continue that momentum. The best way to win third down, you got to win first and second. You have to get positive yardage so that way we're not having a 3rd and 8, a 3rd and 10, a 3rd and manageable, like a 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3. I think that's something that will be imperative for the 49ers. Also, the Saints, they are a team that doesn't play with a lot of discipline. And where that shows is they're one of the top teams in committing penalties. So that's an area where the 49ers, I think they've been pretty well the last few games. I think last week we only had, I think it was either 3 or 5 penalties. If we can keep the penalties in our favor in that range, that's cool. But I imagine the Saints will have a lot more penalties. One more thing, got to make the Saints offense one-dimensional. Obviously, they love to run the ball with Alvin Kamara. He's one of the best dual backs in the NFL. And when I mean dual, I mean he can run the ball, he can catch the ball out the backfield, he can line up at wide receiver, like he can do a lot of different things. So he's
kind of
definitely
like CMC.
Exactly, just like CMC. So he's definitely a guy that I'm sure D'Amico Ryans is keying on. They also have Chris Olave, who's a pretty good receiver, but if we make the Saints offense one-dimensional, make Andy Dalton beat us, I'll take that any day over having Alvin Kamara, run the ball down our throat. So those are just a few of my keys.
Yeah, and I think it's a really interesting point that you made about the third down aspect, and really it speaks to, I talked about earlier about them being a little inconsistent, just similar to what, because they have players on this team, on this offense. They got players on this offense. They got players on the defense, but they're just, like you said, spoke to the penalties and the inconsistencies. And it's, I think the key to this game for the 49ers, for me, is getting up early. Like I think we showed it in the last game against the Cardinals. It took us a second, but once we got going, it was just like the floodgates open. But I want to see them get up early because the earlier they get up the 2 or more scores, then they're gonna that makes Andy Dalton have to beat us. And I don't think that that's a fair I think that's a mismatch in that case when you got D'Amico going against an Andy Dalton. So it's I think it's imperative that they get up early because I think that the Saints do have a pretty solid defense, and I don't want to let that defense keep them in the game. But I think we showed in the last game against Arizona that what we've all been saying all season, that when you use these weapons properly on this 49er team, really there's not many teams that can stay with us. Now, granted, Arizona's not a good team. We get it. But they're still an NFL team, and we saw the explosiveness of the guys that we have. And I don't think that there was necessarily a lot of teams blowing Arizona out. Like I think the last couple of games they got blown out, but for the most part, I don't think they're losing a lot of games, but I don't think they're as bad as advertised. Their coaching situation is horrendous. But
they're also banged up. I mean, that's part of it too. They're banged up, especially their offensive line. At quarterback they're banged up. What's good, Niner Sickness? Thanks for tuning in tonight, and also got to say what's good to Damian Lee as well.
Sure.
But hopefully everyone had a great Thanksgiving, and like Niner Sickness said, I'm sure everyone's a little bit heavier today. So don't step on that scale,
Yeah, no, I'm not. Like for another week. I'm not even. No, not going to.
I don't blame anyone that does not step on the scale today. But back to the Saints though, just real quick, their injuries. You look at Cam Jordan; he's one of their best players. He's actually questionable to play. He's been a limited participant in practice every week. The same with Marshawn Lattimore as well. That one of their top corners. He's been questionable all week. We'll see if he even plays. I would anticipate they'll play, just to be on the safe side. But yeah, they've got some guys who are definitely talented, but they're questionable to play.
Yeah, and I think especially with where the Niners are concerned, I think teams love to play spoiler for the
Yeah,
Niners. They always the guys that are on the fringe of being hurt or maybe they might not play, they always end up playing. Like it's never a time when we just get a completely decimated team. Even if they can go, they're gonna go against the
right.
Niners. Like teams just kind of love to try and beat us. I don't
Yeah.
know what that's about, but
They
yeah.
want
So
to beat the best. They want to beat the best, you
that
know.
yeah, that's the way I look at it.
Kind of like the Warriors, like everyone wants to, you know, hey, they're the defending champions, and everyone wants to beat the defending champions, and they're going to give their best performance, you know, versus the best, you know.
Yeah, like, well, a lot of people are giving the Warriors some work this year, but
Yeah,
that's another podcast.
absolutely.
But I want to, and I know the people in that are watching right now are probably not necessarily. I don't know if my fan base necessarily likes talking about this topic,
Yeah.
but I want to talk about Jimmy G, and
Ooh.
we're the thing is that there's been talk all over the fan base and people just going back and forth, especially on Twitter and the socials. And is it too early to even be talking about Jimmy's future with this team, or what do you think would have to happen for the team to consider keeping him?
I gotta say, go Jimmy, go go go.
Yeah,
Go, Jimmy. Go, go, go. That's all I can say, man. How about we as 49er fans? Let's live in the moment. Just appreciate Jimmy G is playing well. The last 3 games, he hasn't thrown an interception. Do we really need to talk about, hey, you know, like Steve Young? Come on, Steve. What are you doing, man? I want to see
yeah,
Jimmy G for the next 10 years. What?
yeah.
He
I
hasn't
was
even
like, what?
he hasn't won a Super Bowl yet. At least, and to answer your question, the only way Jimmy G is back next year is if the Niners win a Super Bowl and Jimmy G is a starting quarterback. I feel like that's the only way. It's great to talk about it now, just as a topic, because obviously some fans will say, "Yeah, sign him now, get him while he's still cheap, right?" And other fans are like, "Nah, we're still waiting on Trey Lance." So I'm more with the Trey Lance camp.
Me too.
Obviously, Jimmy G has been playing, you know, really well. He hasn't been turning over the ball. He's been able to get the ball accurately to, you know, our skill position guys. And it's definitely good to see. I mean, I'm rooting for Jimmy G as well. I'm rooting for everyone that wears the red and gold. And but yeah, it's definitely too early to talk about Jimmy G's future with the team. And I even saw some people like apologizing to Jimmy. I mean, for what? I mean,
Yeah,
I don't
I saw a
understand.
forum. Did you see that one on Twitter that somebody had a form,
Yeah.
apology form? Like, oh
Yeah,
my
I'm
god,
like, come on, man.
come
It's a
on, bro.
little too early for that. Like, you know, fans are short for fanatics. We're going to be really emotional when we lose, really emotional and excited when we win. It's funny. Whenever we lose, it's fire Shanahan. You never should have brought back Jimmy. You screwed up Trey Lance's career. And then when we win, it's like, oh, we got a Super Bowl talented team. Like, can we
Yeah,
just allow the Niners to play consistent 4 quarters of football for a month? Can we? I
yeah,
mean, just a month. We haven't done that yet. Or I should say, they haven't done that yet.
yeah,
So you know, just chill, man, chill.
yeah. That's the way I look at it. Is that it's way too early, like to be talking about what's going to happen in the off season because not enough has taken place for me to even think that they're going to move off of Trey Lance.
Right.
Like this, I mean, so far we're in the same spot as we've always been with Jimmy. So what are
What's
we?
really changed? Nothing's
Yeah, what
changed.
is
Like,
changed? Like it's yeah, unless the only way, and to the second part of the question, for me, the only way that it's even in discussion is if we win the Super Bowl.
yeah,
And if the 49ers win the Super Bowl, then everything is off the table, like is on the table because you know how this organization doesn't do anything that we think they should do,
right.
and anything can happen at that point. So I'm not even going to try and call it if that happens, like because it's you don't know, nobody knows. So it's yeah that, but I just I get I just like you. I just want to root for the 49ers
Right.
and just want to enjoy the ride. Just
Right.
enjoy the ride. Like
Right.
be happy that we have a good enough backup to be able to be in the position to where our team is not done with because our
Yeah.
starting quarterback went down.
And
Like
yeah.
just be happy with the fact that we're still in it.
And I would,
But
on your point of saying, you reminded me of something when you said just be happy. There's a lot of fans on Twitter who are just miserable. Like, if Jimmy G plays well, we have to make excuses for him, why he played well. He's not that good. If Jimmy plays well, it's a diss to Trey. Like, just
yeah,
be happy. Just be happy that Jimmy G's back with the team. Just say, hey, I know some people are Jimmy fans, some people aren't. Jimmy plays well, it's okay to say, hey, Jimmy had a good game. He played well. He was part of the reason we won. There's nothing wrong with that. So I try to stay off Twitter in those conversations because they really get nowhere. And it's a week-to-week league. If Jimmy goes out and loses the game versus the Saints and throws 2 interceptions, it'll be back to, get rid of this guy. Why is he here? The season is in shambles. So, that's what it is. Seattle's not concerned about next year. I bet you they're not concerned about next year. They're 6-4. They're playing good football. They're a different team than when we played them the first few weeks of the season. That's for sure.
You know what? I don't think that they're really that different than then.
Okay.
Like in my estimation, I don't think that they're that different. I think that they're a bad matchup, like for a lot of teams because of the way their offense runs. They're trying to run the ball,
right?
And in today's NFL, I mean, I feel like that's why the Niners have been successful over the past few years is because they went against the grain. Just like when Harbaugh first got here. Like he went against the grain. He's running the ball 40 times, 40 or 60% of the time.
Yeah.
And and the NFL just isn't prepared for that. The personnel is based around the defense is based around passing. And when you got to stop the run all of a sudden, a lot of these teams just don't have the personnel to do it. So it's I think in today's game, I think this is always what Pete Carroll wanted to do, which was just run the ball. But
Russell Wilson didn't want to do that though.
Yeah, Russell was like, "Oh, I want to cook," and you see where that got Denver.
Absolutely.
I mean, he's burning toast over there. I don't know what he's doing.
He's not cooking much over there. it's not edible what he's cooking right now.
Yeah. I want to say what's up to Raphael. Appreciate you coming in. And it's Jimmy is just always going to be a polarizing topic for this team because he always gets us. And I know a lot of people, this is not a popular take for a lot of people because I'm not a huge Harbaugh guy. Mm-hmm. But I think it's the same thing as with Harbaugh. I look at Jimmy and I see Harbaugh. Like he's good enough to get you right here, but he's not good enough to get you over the top. And you see the same thing with how he is at Michigan. He's good enough to get you right here, but when it comes to it and getting you over the hump, I always felt like he wasn't good enough to do that. I don't think he was a good enough coach for that. But I digress. We go move.
Speaking of Michigan, they got a good game versus Ohio State this weekend. But that's why they brought in Harbaugh. If you beat Ohio State, hey, it don't matter. You ain't got to win a national championship. Just beat Ohio State every year, and he's good,
But this is the thing. How many times he beat Ohio State?
It's probably you can probably count on one hand. It might have been once or twice.
It's only been once, I think.
Once. Okay, once.
You got
another opportunity this week. We'll see.
I'm a Michigan fan too.
Okay.
So
it's
it's just and I'm already. It's not that I'm negative about what's going to happen this weekend, but I don't think that the Wolverines have the players to beat that passing game from Ohio State. I don't see it. I'm going Wolverines, go blue, but we talking about the Niners today. So enough about my pain from being a Michigan fan for years and years. But so let's move on to a better topic, a happier topic. And I would say that's CMC and Elijah Mitchell. I want to talk about the running game a little bit. And it's been great so far, having them both on the field at the same time. And I love the hot hand approach that Shanahan's been taking with them. Is it them, or is Kyle calling a different game now because he's got them. What do you think about that?
I don't think, well, as far as Kyle Shanahan calling a different game, I think versus the Cardinals, it was a different game. I looked up our play-by-play that we had for that game, and I believe the first half we ran the ball only 7 times, and we passed 21 times. So I think that's definitely different from a 49er Kyle Shanahan offense.
Yeah.
And then in the second half, those numbers were reversed. And Kyle Shanahan did something good. He said, hey, we're just going to run out the clock and put this team away. And that's how it should be done. But I think Elijah Mitchell and CMC are the 2 best backs in this offense. I think since Shanahan has been a 49er head coach, I know some people will say Raheem Mostert. There's no doubt he's a beast as well. And we're going to see Raheem Mostert and Jeff Wilson Jr. Back at Santa Clara. So, but you asked me also about, are they the best duo? I think that's debatable, but I think they should be, top 2, top 3 for sure if we're just talking about specific running backs. But I think as the season plays out, I don't think Shanahan will call anything different. I think he's going to continue to feed the hot hand, and I think he's going to continue to use CMC and Elijah Mitchell, in their roles. They're going to get, anywhere between 12 to 17 carries each, somewhere between there. On some days, on some games, it'll be less. Maybe CMC will catch more passes, but I think you could make an argument that Mitchell could be the better runner. I mean, I think that's a fair
He's just more
argument.
Physical.
He is more physical. And we just hope that both guys can continue to stay healthy. But I don't think the play calling, when you look at the runs themselves, they're still the same. Like he does the tosses, they do the standard handoffs. So as far as that aspect, it's the same. But Elijah Mitchell, I think he is an upgrade over Jeff Wilson Jr. And, Jeff Wilson Jr., he's doing great things in South Beach right now with the Dolphins. Looking forward to when him and Mostert come back. But I think Mitchell is a little bit better. I think he's just a little bit faster, quicker than Jeff Wilson Jr. It's not to take anything away from him. It's just I think these are the 2 best backs right now in red and gold. And we even saw a Jordan Mason sighting as well. So
and we saw why he's not playing.
Right. Well, I mean, he don't get on the field. I mean,
I got it, but like that's the second time. That's the second time in the little amount of time that he's been on the field that he's gone the wrong way. Like one time he blocked the wrong way.
Was that whose fault was that? Was that Jordan Mason or was that?
They said it was Rich Madrid said that it was Jordan Mason's fault because he said if you looked at the offensive linemen, they were blocking.
To the
left.
Okay. Well, hey, mistakes happen, man. Mistakes happen.
I mean, I've been the biggest Jordan Mason apologist like since the beginning of the season, and I wanted to see him, and we saw him, and it was I wouldn't say, I mean, other than that, like he runs so hard, he just throws himself into the line, and I think that might be. There might be something to that too, why he doesn't see the field as much, because I think he's still developing as seeing holes and like that kind of stuff, and recognizing what's in front of him. So,
and that takes time, and we know Shanahan doesn't want to play rookies if he doesn't have to, unless they hit the ground running like Elijah Mitchell did when he had his opportunity. Some rookies will hit the ground running, some won't. I mean, we haven't seen much from Danny Gray. I don't know if that's a lack of him. Hey, maybe he's not a good enough, run blocker yet at the wide receiver position, but I just feel like you got to be able to get the ball to Danny Gray, whether it's screens, whether it's reverses. So you're telling me Danny Gray couldn't have been Deebo Samuel on that run that, on that reverse? Like, I think he could do those things. He may not be able to break the tackles or whatever, but Danny Gray, there's no way you can tell me, you can convince me that Danny Gray's best asset, which is his speed, can't be utilized on a football field. I refuse to believe that. So, that is one negative aspect of this season with Danny Gray. I just feel like, they haven't really. I mean, I don't expect.
I think it's the same thing.
Focal point. I don't think they expect him to make him a focal point of the offense, but get the guy involved. I mean, unless he's not bringing it in practice.
The same thing that you were talking about with Jordan Mason is the same thing. It goes for Danny Gray too. Like not so much that he's making mistakes, but Shanahan doesn't like starting rookies unless he absolutely has to. Right. And like some people talk about it. Well, Hufanga got to start. That was on defense. Shanahan don't have to deal with him. like
Right.
and because so I think he's perfectly because I would like to see Danny Gray get some of those Ray McLeod touches.
Right.
Like
I agree.
and see because I could think that he could be that type of receiver that those running those routes that Ray runs. And but I think that Shanahan trusts Ray a little bit more because he's a vet. And like that's all it is. And Ray, I don't know how you feel about Ray. I think he's solid. I like Ray for the most part. I know he has ball control issues from time to time, but I like Ray. I think our return game and is better. And not that it's world beating or anything like that, but it's better than it has been in years. So yeah, but I like
I would
Ray.
agree. I would agree. I like Ray. I think he's a solid contributor on the special teams, and we needed someone to elevate that position. Punt return, kick return. I think Ray has done that.
Yeah, for sure. So what do you think of this question? Who's going to average more rushing yards against the Saints, CMC or Mitchell?
If I had to guess, I would say Mitchell. I think
Yeah.
he'll get more carries, and then I think he'll get more yards.
Yeah, that's how I feel about it too. I just think he's gonna. You saw it last game, and I think this is what Shanny's probably gonna do. Is he's gonna be running CMC early and showing him CMC, and then in the second quarter, going into the second half, then all of a sudden Elijah Mitchell is gonna start getting pounding the ball inside. And that's what we saw last game. And then Mitchell, to his credit, I feel like Mitchell is seeing holes better than he did last year. He has been taking because I thought Jeff Wilson had been seeing holes a lot better than he had in the past. And but I think, like you said, to your point, Elijah Mitchell's just a little bit more explosive than Jeff Wilson, and you saw it. Like he's turning. There were times when it looked like there was a wall there. Elijah Mitchell just squeaks through and ends up with like 7-8 yards. Like I love his running style. I just the only knock on him is the health issue, but I really hope that him and CMC splitting carries can keep both of those guys healthy, and that because that could be a juggernaut. You saw what CMC does for Jimmy and giving him that outlet to throw to that really the 49ers don't really design runs to the running back, but just Jimmy being able to trust in CMC, know that he's there and that he's going to get open. I think it's huge for Jimmy. I think that's an underrated aspect of what's been going on with Jimmy too. But
no, I completely agree. I mean, CMC is like the perfect player for Jimmy. Jimmy can't really utilize Danny Gray's speed, so he utilizes CMC's ability to run those quick pass patterns out of the backfield or even at the slot position. I mean, that's where Jimmy does his best work, is between the line of scrimmage and 15 yards down the field, and CMC can do that. So I think it's a perfect match.
Yeah, for sure. And so we started talking about the wide receivers. We talked about Danny Gray a little bit. What do you think of Ayuk's season so far? And do you think he can break through and be kind of looked at as that wide receiver one spot?
Hey, I wore the right jersey. The Ayuk show. Man, Brandon Ayuk has been amazing. And it is funny because Brandon Ayuk and Jimmy G didn't really have a good rapport pretty much since Ayuk has been on the team. And this year, for whatever reason, that rapport, we're seeing it blossom. And Jimmy G is actually looking to throw to Brandon Ayuk. I think Brandon Ayuk is probably the best route runner on this team. We've seen those whip routes where he'll run to the outside and whip back to the inside, and Jimmy G has the ball on target to him. So yeah, I think Brandon Ayuk is our number one receiver. I think he's arguably. I mean, the thing is, his level of production, you can't really compare it to like a Justin Jefferson, but I think Brandon Ayuk could be like a top 10, receiver in this league for sure. And I think Deebo Samuel complements him well. You add in George Kittle. But yeah, I mean, I think Brandon Ayuk is the best receiver on the squad, and Jimmy can get him the ball. And that's what's been most important. And my huge thing with Jimmy was whenever he throws the ball high. And I think lately, the last 3 games, it hasn't been that way.
As high.
It hasn't been as high. Yeah, it hasn't been as high. Like the guys don't have to jump for the ball, and risk getting hit, But if Jimmy play does that more often, don't throw so high, leave your guys exposed. I think that'll be something that would benefit this team, and it'll be interesting. Will the 49ers re-sign Brandon Ayuk, not this offseason, but probably next offseason? Obviously, we got a few guys that are coming up who are going to get big contracts, but you can't sign everyone. But I think we should definitely keep Brandon Ayuk in the 49ers jersey for a long time.
Yeah, I like Ayuk. Like I think he's the guy that you're going to for the future of this team. I think he is the one that they need to really invest in,
Right.
like because it's one thing like when Debo is like the best weapon on the planet, right? When he's on, like he can catch the ball, he can run the ball, all that good stuff. And when Jimmy's our quarterback, that's great. Like because he doesn't have to throw the ball far, he's not really a down the field threat, like all that kind of stuff. He doesn't have to be to do all that to get yards and to get points. But when you've got when if we think Trey Lance is what we think Trey Lance is, Ayuk is going to be the one in my estimation that is really going to help out Trey Lance because that guy breaks off anybody that's in front of him. Like
Mhm.
I don't see any corner just locking up Brandon Ayuk. Like I don't think we've seen it. I know we haven't played any real. Well, no, we played Denver. Denver had a really good and he did, but he was getting his openings up against Sertan, like
Right,
in
right.
that game too. So like, I mean, if he can get open on Sertan, he can get open on anybody.
Yeah.
Like so I'm a big Ayuk proponent. I'm seeing a lot from him that making himself available to Jimmy and making it. I think he took to heart some of this stuff because it's really weird that right after I'm trying to remember who put out the video, but I think it was Kurt Warner put out the video. Was it Kurt Warner? Somebody put out the video about how it was Kurt Warner put out the video about how Ayuk and Debo aren't necessarily helping Jimmy out with the way that they were running their routes. And like they weren't getting like inside leverage and they kept getting outside leverage on slants and like that kind of stuff. And I feel like Ayuk, I don't know if he saw it or not, but it seemed like right after that, Ayuk just started making himself more available to Jimmy, and it just seemed like he's always open now. He's just always open,
Yeah.
and it's I don't know if that's what it was, but the guy I just see him growing every leaps and bounds every time we see him play, and I'm looking forward to seeing his growth. Like I'll put it that way.
Absolutely. And another reason to IU's success is you add another weapon in CMC. So that's another player
Mm,
that the opposing defense has to guard. So it allows IU to be open more. And also you got to give credit to Shanahan. I mean, he schemes these guys open, and credit to IU's, hard work throughout the offseason. He was working out with Trey Lance. And Ayuk was in the doghouse last year, and
mhm.
maybe that was good for him. Maybe he needed that kick in the butt, and
Yeah,
it's never good to be stagnant, and you can't be stagnant as a football player or anyone in whatever profession you're in. You have to continue to learn and get better, and add tools to your toolbox. And I think Ayuk definitely has done that.
yeah. And I wanted to reference this question for Melissa. So thoughts on not only the first ever 2 TD game by George Kittle, but him calling for Jimmy to get him the ball more. I mean, I'm not going to argue with him. Like,
Yeah.
like, I mean, get. I've been saying for, you know what, and it's an interesting. I had a conversation with somebody the other day about this off air that George Kittle. We've been begging George Kittle to get involved in this passing game for how long? Well, how long has it been since we were comfortable with the offensive line to be able to
Mhm.
pass block?
Good point.
Like, I mean, that I think that's the reason why George has been able to get out and get open is because this offensive line has been I think one of the best pass blocking offensive lines in the league right now.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
they of course they have their little every offensive line has their little issues here and there, But for the most part, I feel like the offensive line, Jimmy hasn't gotten. I think he's gotten sacked once in the last 2 games.
Mm.
It's great. He didn't get sacked at all. He didn't even get touched last game. So I mean, and then you saw it. George Kittle getting open all over the place. George Kittle was a main focus of the offense. So that's the key. Is he's got to get those offensive linemen to block so he doesn't have to stay in and help all the time. And I just think I think that all of that is this team is growing. It like I think we were all complaining a little bit about Shannon, me included, Shanahan. What are we doing? The execution isn't there, and this team always starts slow, but we're depending on some younger player. We were depending on these younger players, these younger offensive linemen, these younger receivers, and they're starting to hit their stride. They're getting a little bit under their belt. Now they're hitting their stride, and it's just I feel like they're growing like right in front of us. And I mean, we're gonna talk about Womack later, but like, I mean, we got some young guys. We got some horses that they're finding in these later rounds that I think a lot of teams are a little bit jealous of right now. But how did you feel about the 2D game, 2 TD game from Kittle?
Great question, Melissa. And I would say, obviously, it's great to see George Kittle and him have success in the passing game. Also, Jimmy G, that was one play where the pressure got to Jimmy. He moved up into the pocket. He was looking to the right. He was looking to the left. And then Kittle kind of went back to give Jimmy more space to deliver that ball, and Jimmy delivered the ball to Kittle, and he hit his head on the goalpost, as Shannon Sharp likes to say. And but yeah, man, it was great to see, and I like that Kittle is saying, "Hey, I want the ball more," but the only way he can get that ball more is as you put it, the offensive line has to be able to block with just 5 guys, so that way Kittle can go out and go out and get those pass patterns and be a target for Jimmy to throw to. And we talk about last year, this offensive line. I mean, we had a Pro Bowl caliber guard in Lincoln Tomlinson. We had Alex Mack there, and now the interior of the offensive line is basically 3 new starters. So I think they've played great.
I think they're better.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if I would say better, but I would say they're playing as good as you could ask for, right? I mean, I don't think the 3 of them have allowed a sack. Burford, Brindle, or Banks. I don't think either one of them have allowed a sack so far this year. So, I mean, it seems like the only question mark is kind of like right tackle McGlinchey, but we already kind of knew that going into the season. But he had a clean game, Monday night. So, yeah, but all that works together. If the offensive line can't protect Jimmy, Kittle's going to have to block more. If they can, hey, Kittle can go out for more passes, and we're seeing what could happen when he's a target, because we know he's hard to guard from a defensive standpoint, and he can get open. We know that for sure.
Yeah, for sure. So real quick, Damian was asking, do we have a power runner for goal line situations? I think that in my estimation, Elijah Mitchell can be that guy, and I think in a pinch, if they needed to, they could use Jordan Mason, because like I was talking about earlier, the one good thing that he is he runs hard.
Yeah.
And like he throws himself at the line. But what do you think about that?
I mean, I'd like to see TDP in those goal line situations. He is a bigger back. I mean, we could use Juice in that situation, but the 49ers like to do quarterback sneaks. Jimmy G is pretty good at doing quarterback sneaks. Haven't really seen. I think I'm trying to think this year. He might have had 1 or 2 quarterback sneak touchdowns, but they usually use him in the quarterback sneak if it's like a 3rd and 1 or 4th and 1. They like to use Jimmy in that situation. But yeah, I would love to see more TDP. I think he was a healthy scratch last week from the game, so we may not see that. But I would agree with you, either Elijah Mitchell or maybe Juice for that goal line back.
Yeah, absolutely. And to Raphael's point, make sure y'all like and subscribe to this. Hit that bell so you can get the notifications for when I'm going live. And when I put new videos out, like because I've been on a lot of shows lately, and but I try my best to get those copies of those shows to put on the channel. So make sure that you like I said, hit the like and the subscribe, tell your friends, and the same thing for Jay in the Bay. Like Jay in the Bay is really good show. I can't say it enough. Like it's a really good show. So make sure you guys check out both channels. But
Appreciate it.
uh so he said why is 44 all the ways to go to back in the red zone, especially on short downs. I it's weird. I think that's a weird aspect of Shanny. Like he likes to use juice in those short yardage at random times too.
Yeah.
Like the times I would like to see Juice not run. I want to see him run it out of that I formation. Like if you're gonna run him, but it's like he doesn't really like to do that often, and it's
Yeah. I think he's
yeah
closest to the quarterback. Even if I formation, he's the closest to the quarterback, so he's able to get the ball sooner than a running back could. If they do like a pistol formation, or if they do like a weak pro formation where Juice is to the right of Jimmy, and then the running
yeah
back is like maybe 3 to 5 yards behind Jimmy. He's close to the quarterback. Hand him the ball real quick. Maybe he can find a hole behind, one of the guards and try to get some positive yardage. I think Juice, that may not be his necessarily strength,
yeah.
but as a
He's a little
fullback,
small for a fullback.
he
I'll
is.
be honest.
But he can do it all. He's
Yeah
one of the rare fullbacks who can actually go out and run a wheel route and come down with the catch, and you're not even concerned about that. He's got good hands, but yeah, that's not his strength. What's good, Blue True? Appreciate you
yeah
tuning
for
in
sure.
tonight.
For sure. And so we talked about IU. Why my question is why did it take so long for Kyle to return to his old play calling styles with Debo? Because I think we saw in this last game, we saw the jet sweep. When was the last time we saw a jet sweep this season
It's been a
with
while.
Debo? It's been a long time. And I feel like he was using Debo the way that he used to use Debo. And like it
Yeah.
was kind of more of it was sparingly. He used him on the jet sweep. He kind of
Right.
motioned him in real quick to get a quick snap off with him at running back, the crossers, like that kind of stuff. That's what I want to see more of with Debo. And I feel like he was running the same, a lot of those tunnel screens and stuff like that with Debo, which I think it kind of negated a little bit what it's fine for an every now and then for a surprise play, but
Yeah.
for like to do it over and over and over again, I thought that it was just a little redundant. But I was just happy to see him get back to the old play. And oh, what do you know? It worked. Like Debo took one to the house on the jet sweep.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was so good to see Debo run up the sideline and hit that second gear and just run by everybody. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
How did you feel? How did you feel in that moment? Because I know I was glad to see Debo's burst. I hadn't been seeing it for most of the season. But how did you feel about it?
I think it was great to see, Debo, in that reverse. And as you mentioned, hit that second gear and run past all of the defenders. I think that was definitely great to see. But I think Shanahan wanted to continue to do what worked last year. And Debo and the running game really took the league by storm in the second half of the season. And I think Shanahan was like, okay, we'll just do the same thing. But obviously this year, teams were prepared for it. When number 19 was in the backfield, they knew he would be getting the ball. And that's why Debo and the running game didn't really work, the first half of this season. So
Mm-hmm.
also, I'm not a I'm not a physical therapist. I don't know what shape Debo Samuel is in, but that could be attributed to
It
why,
could be.
he wasn't doing the sweeps. I mean, maybe Debo wasn't in the best shape. He was trying to, get that contract extension. And, maybe that was part of the reason why Shanahan didn't want to put a bunch of those type of plays on his plate, maybe in the beginning of the season.
But
So,
Jay, Jay,
mhm,
he was
yeah.
doing workout videos. That means he was working like a madman,
Clearly,
right?
clearly, that means he's working out like a madman. That means he's in supreme condition. But that could be the case. But he, those running plays in the beginning of the year, they didn't work. I think because teams knew what to expect. And I think obviously bringing in CMC, that helps, man. Another weapon.
Yes.
I mean, it helps everyone on the roster. Every skill position player helps. But yeah, obviously it's great to see Debo in that role, being a punishing runner. and making plays down the field.
Yeah, I agree. And so let's talk. We talked a little bit about the offensive line, but how good can this O line be? And but if like I mean, obviously, if everybody stays healthy, but how good can this O line be? Because I feel like they're getting better week to week, and but how do you feel about them?
I am pleasantly surprised by this offensive line. I mean, when you go from having veteran leadership along that offensive line to three guys who basically never started an NFL game, that's a daunting task, right? That's very interesting that
Mm,
Shanahan chose to go that route. But I mean, I don't think they could have played better. Brindle has probably been he's probably seen the most adversity at his position, I would say,
mm,
as far as just him handling the big defensive tackles that are across from him. But Banks and Burford are doing really good. And then you add in Brunskill, who's got veteran leadership, who can play any position along the offensive line. I think the offensive line is doing pretty well. I think Shanahan schemes plays open. Jimmy gets the ball out quick, and it helps this offensive line. Obviously, we just got to worry about McGlinchey. And he played a clean game last week, but this can be one of the better offensive lines, especially when you compare them from week 1 till now. I think it could
mm.
be top 5, top 7 when you look at they're protecting Jimmy. They're able to open holes in the run game. I mean, that's what the offensive line is supposed to do. And they don't get a ton of penalties, which, I think is great. And then when you can add in a veteran guy like Brunskill, he can play any position along the offensive line in
Yeah,
a pinch.
anyone.
And also he comes in at right guard for. I think lately he hasn't been coming in for Banks. I don't. The last
Yeah,
few
he
games
came
I
in a
haven't
couple of
noticed that.
snaps. He came in a few snaps because the last game because the commentators were actually mentioning him
Okay, okay,
specifically.
okay. And I know he normally comes in for Burford.
Yeah.
I noticed that like every game, he plays a few series, which is fine. Keep him in shape, keep him in tune with the game plan because he might have to start at one of those spots if there's an
Mm.
injury. So that's another thing. We've been relatively healthy. I mean, I know McGlinchey was banged up coming into the year.
Knock
But
on
yeah, I
knock
know,
on
knock
particle
on
board.
wood. Trent Williams, he's been banged up, but I think he only missed 2 games?
Missed 2 games, I think.
Yeah, 2 games. So hey, they can be as good as they want to be. Just stay healthy and keep and Shanahan's play calling helps this offensive line as well. So
Yeah. I'm with you on the offense as far as the offensive line goes. I think that this what was potentially a weakness for this team is turned into I would dare say a strength. And the fact that Jimmy isn't like running for his life every down like many times last season, I think is a huge, especially interior pressure. He was getting a lot of interior pressure last year because and most of the time on that right side. And we're not seeing it as much. And other than the occasional uh McGlinchey snafu of just letting somebody completely run by him. But other than that, I think they've played pretty clean, and I think sky's the limit because you've got two guards that could be cornerstones for years to come now. And then Brendel, I will say I'm pleasantly surprised. I thought it was a disaster that they were going to start him. And yeah, I was still a what was his name? Donovan West guy.
yeah,
I thought he
yeah.
was going to be the guy. And now they're saying Zakel is going to be the center of the
Next in line
future.
at center.
But
Wait. So you're saying you don't want to sign Jake Brindle to a contract extension this offseason? Is that what you're saying?
you know what? If our offensive line keeps playing the way that it does,
Mm.
I wouldn't be. How old is Jake Brendel?
Wow, that's a great question. Let me look it up real quick.
I want to say
In
he's
his
not
late
30.
20s?
I was gonna say he's not 30 yet. And
Let's see.
so I mean, if he's
He's
playing
30. He's
serviceable,
30.
oh,
Yeah.
he's 30. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Late bloomer.
yeah, I mean, you might sign him to like a 2-year deal, and then if Zakel overtakes him and just becomes better than him, then you make the switch. But like,
Yeah.
he's not going to command a lot of money. Like let's say that. He's
Mm-mm.
not I wouldn't say at all. So, and it's going to be interesting to see what they do with McGlinchey at the end of the season. But I digress.
What say you? Are you in favor of signing McGlinchey to like a team friendly 2-year deal? No, no.
I don't. Because this is the reason why, and it sounds real. It sounds real matter of fact, but the reality is this: I don't trust It's not so much about McGlinchey as much as it is about Shanahan. I don't trust Shanahan to just take him out. Like if there's a guy waiting in the wings that maybe better or has more potential, I don't trust Shanahan just to pull the plug and say we're just gonna put him in there. I just don't. Like he likes to play the guys that have been in his system, and I feel like that would just be we would be stuck with McGlinchey on that side. Now, if McGlinchey keeps playing like he did last game, I mean, we'll see. We'll see.
Is the answer at right tackle on the roster today?
I don't necessarily think so, but I am a proponent of trying Jalen Moore out at that spot. Like he's a guy that I really want to try at that spot. I also want them to try Burford at that spot. Like so it wouldn't but I can understand if they want to keep him at guard, but I think that he has the measurables to play that tackle spot, and I think that he would be good. He would be good as a right tackle. I don't really necessarily see him as a left tackle.
So it looks like Raphael 562 Niners agrees with you, moving Burford to right tackle.
I didn't even see it.
Yeah.
Yep. There you go. But yeah, it's great minds think alike. And 562, big up to Long Beach. Like you know what it is. I grew up in Carson, like right outside Long Beach. So
I'd be okay with the Niners moving on from McGlinchey, but hopefully they bring in, because we got a lot of young guys who can play right tackle, but I wouldn't at all be opposed to bringing in a veteran right tackle, even if it's just a 1-year deal, so he could compete with the young guys, and then see who the best right tackle is in camp.
Yeah, somebody different than McGlinchey.
Right.
Because McGlinchey has too much loyalty. Like there's too much loyalty there to McGlinchey. Like I need him to bring in a fresh veteran face, so like that he can have an honest competition.
Yeah, because like you said, he's not going to bench McGlinchey. He's not going to do that. So.
Oh yeah, you said Raphael said he's from Northside Long Beach.
Northside Long Beach. All right.
Yeah, like yeah. It's they're like right on the border of where I grew up. So
okay.
But yeah, so offensive line playing well but let's move over to the defense. And I know we've talked a ton about the offense so far, but the defense played so well. And I feel like they're hitting, especially the defensive backfield is kind of hitting their stride. We talked about the young guys earlier. And I mean, Diamador Lenore is playing out of his mind. And then Womack finally got some run yesterday. But do you think D'Amico is still leaving after this season? And do you think he's going to get that head coaching spot next season? Or do you think it's still open debate? It's up for debate.
You got to strike when the iron is hot, and it couldn't be any hotter for D'Amico Ryans unless we end the season with the Super Bowl victory. But he's got this defense playing lights out. After Emmanuel Mosley got hurt, I thought the defense wasn't as good, and honestly, I don't think it can be as good if Emmanuel Mosley's not there. But I hope the Niners prove me wrong. Womack is playing well, Demo Lenore is playing well. Obviously, I think the key for this defense is the pass rush. If we're able to continue to get pass rush against the opposing quarterback and make them feel uncomfortable, it'll allow this defense to really play up to its best. And I like that D'Amico Ryans is mixing in blitzes. I like that, Fred Warner's getting in there and getting after the quarterback. I like to see that. But yeah, I think D'Amico, he'll probably be gone. I mean, I think he was a candidate for the Vikings job last year, but he chose to stay with the 49ers. So his name is already out there. I think this season has only enhanced his resume as a potential head coach. And it sucks from the 49ers perspective because we'd love to have D'Amico back next year, but couldn't be happier for D'Amico Ryans, who is a great player. He's turning himself into a great coach. And also credit to Shanahan. He's able to,
Man.
with his tutelage and, he's got multiple guys who were under him who are now head coaches. So he knows how to build a staff,
Yeah. I was nervous. I was nervous about all these new faces this season because and then we came out the gate slow and I was just like, oh, I think they may have taken too many coaches from Shanny. And but I think that I think we all have our suspicions as far as if D'Amico leaves, like that Fangio is waiting in the wings to come back.
That's true.
And I think at that point, I think he would probably be our defensive coordinator for the foreseeable future, because I don't think he's going to go after another head coaching job anytime soon.
And to answer Raphael 562, yes, we do get a third round compensation pick if Lynn becomes a coach. Absolutely.
Yeah, that'll be. I will take it. We need all the picks that we can get because we're giving up picks like they candy right now. Like it's I know I love having CMC here, but like I thought that still was a lot to be given up. But either way, what were you saying?
That was a lot of picks, but I'm glad that CMC is not just a 1-year rental. He's still got three years left on his contract, so that is a great sign, I feel. But there's no doubt you give a lot for a running back, but he's not just a running back. He's one of the elite at his position when he's healthy. But I wanted to ask you about Melissa's question. Do you see Ambry Thomas traded or E-Man signed back this offseason? I think I won't be surprised. I don't know about you, but I wouldn't mind taking E-Man. I mean, unfortunately, you look at his injury history. Every year since I believe 2019, his games played have gone down. So obviously that's not a good sign, right?
Yeah.
He's not trending in the right direction, but you can get him for a team-friendly price. It'll be a 1-year deal. He can rehab here. He knows the system. Maybe try to bring him back in the second half of the season. But yeah, I don't think E-Man signing him to a long-term extension is probably not a good idea. And you already have, Mooney Ward. So I think you're going to replenish that cornerback spot with either another veteran who wants to take a 1-year deal or through the draft and continue to go young.
And I think that knowing the Niners' history with taking chances on their guys, like even when they have injury issues, I think that they do bring E-Man back for at least 1 year, like give him a tryout deal. I mean, you see, they did it for Verrett, they did it for all their guys, like down the road at some point or another. And I see them bringing him in for cheap for 1 more year, like and seeing if he can get through a season without getting hurt. It's that physical style, bro. Like I don't even know if that's the reason why he keeps getting hurt. Like but because there's other players that play a physical style that don't get hurt like that, like he does. But yeah, I don't know. It's,
and the torn ACL, that was a non-contact injury.
Yeah,
so it's kind of fluky, but the stats don't lie. Unfortunately, every year he plays less and less games. So, from a financial aspect, it doesn't really make sense to commit to him long term.
Yeah,
but
I agree.
on a 1-year deal, why not? What do you got?
Yeah, 1 deal, and you're still going to probably draft a guy. Like
right.
That's what the Niners do. They're going to draft. I think Ambry Thomas might be the odd man out, like because he hasn't shown. He's just if Ambry Thomas was in their thought process, we probably wouldn't have seen Womack late in that game. We would have probably been Ambry. I don't remember seeing him get on the field. So, yeah, I think Womack has shown enough. I think Diamador Lenore has shown enough to get to the point to where I think that they're going to run with those guys. And if E-Man can come back, then yeah, we rethink what we got. But yeah, otherwise I don't see, like you said, I don't see them doing a long-term deal.
Yeah, it's funny because I feel like we had the same conversation about Demo Lenore. Like last year, he didn't really get much run, and then Ambry Thomas came on strong, and we thought, oh, Ambry, he's a future number 2 corner. And then we get in the training camp, It's like, what happened? Like,
it's like he didn't do anything in the off season. I mean, I know I saw on his Twitter that he was like going overseas and doing some charity work and like that kind of stuff. But I mean, you still got to work on your craft. Like, I don't know. I don't know how he came in so flat because the guys at training camp said that he looked bad all the way through training camp, and
yeah,
then preseason we saw it was bad. Like,
yeah.
and I just didn't. I don't understand it because the kid has all the kind of he has all the physical talent in the world. Like it just can't put it together. I don't know
You
what it
got you
is.
got to have that desire to get better. I mean, at the end of the day, like
Yeah,
that's why they say hard work beats talent when talent doesn't want to work hard or something like that. And you got to be able to continue to work on your craft. And Melissa has a good question about Jimmy Ward. I mean, he's in the last year of his contract. And I mean, Jimmy Ward was a top 100 player at the safety position. I think he should continue to play safety opposite of Huff. Gibson has played well though in getting deflections and getting interceptions, but I would be surprised if Jimmy Ward is back next year. We know he's been relatively healthy up until this season, but we'll see. It all depends. Maybe Jimmy Ward wants to obviously play back at free safety, and he wants to get his last lucrative contract. Maybe the Jets will give him that. I don't know.
yeah. I think he's gone. Like, I just think that when they found and I messed up. I messed up. I'm gonna be the first one to say it. Like on Twitter the other day, I got owned because for whatever reason, I thought that Tashawn Gibson was young. I don't know why I thought
Mm.
that he was. For some reason, I thought he was like 26,
Oh no.
and and like and I worded it as like I didn't say he was 26, but I worded it like he was young and developing.
Right.
And they just Niner Twitter like they did what Niner Twitter does. They came for me and
Yeah,
like
he's a crafty vet.
yeah
32 years old. Yeah.
but and with that being said, so I mean, do we really think that they'll get rid of Jimmy? I don't know that they'll necessarily get rid of Jimmy, but I think that this is the kind of situation that is the reason why I thought they should have drafted a safety this past draft. Like, I don't understand why they're always a year behind. Like,
Yeah.
and
Because they wanted to draft a guard. That's why.
well, I mean, two
They wanted
guards.
to draft a
Like, they
guard.
want to
And,
draft two guards,
yeah, exactly. And
and like,
another edge rusher. That's what this team loves to
yeah.
draft, edge rushers.
They're like, and I mean, I love Drake Jackson. I
Yeah.
think he's going to end up being, especially next season. I think because I don't think Ebicom's going to stay either. Like, I think next season is going to be the coming out party for Drake Jackson
Yeah.
because him and Bosa on the other side. Drake Jackson has flashed all season. Every time they get him in there, he's knocking down passes. He's doing something. He's getting close to the quarterback. So, I love Drake Jackson, but I'll tell you, I would have loved more to have a safety that they could have been grooming for this very situation.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
but
maybe
it is what it is.
yeah, maybe next season, or excuse me, this draft, they'll prioritize safety. I would be surprised if we don't get a safety, a defensive tackle, because Kinlaw, unfortunately,
Yeah,
he just can't stay healthy. So I know we got Khalil Davis. Someone in the chat mentioned that earlier, but I think it would be a mistake not to go after another defensive tackle, I would say.
yeah, for sure. If they honestly, and I know this is probably sacrilege for some people, I would maybe look to trade Eric Armstead.
Mm.
Like,
Yeah. It
it's
depends on his cap number. Let me look up his contract real quick because
yeah, because I
money
know
talk.
he's getting near the end. Like,
Yeah.
maybe not near the end, but I think this is the third year of that deal. I
Yep.
believe.
Yeah, third year. There is a potential out after next season, but it would be like a $21 million dead cap hit. I think that's
Ooh,
too rich for the 49ers. Even if they
yeah,
do decide that money was split in 2 years, so it'd be like half 1 year, half the next. That's a lot,
yeah,
to give to a player to not play. I think he plays out the rest of this contract because even if you look at in 2024, the last year of the deal, it's still a $14 million dead cap hit. So, I think he plays out. I think he'll restructure. I think he'll be a good soldier, whatever. He'll restructure his contract, but I think he'll stay with the Niners throughout the
Do you think
duration.
they
But I think that's a
restructure
good
and
thing.
like add more years to kind of
They
string
could
out the
add
money?
more voidable years. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so. They could restructure, which would alleviate the cap space for the current season, but still he'll get his money, but it'll be like a roster bonus and not his actual salary. And they do all types of things to finagle the money, man.
Yeah, no, I know. It's all funny money.
I mean, Armstead, he's been a lot more consistent and healthy than Ford. I don't think we're at that
He
point yet
has,
with Armstead. Like he's been relatively healthy, except this
but
year, of course.
yeah, well, in the beginning, he was injury prone in the beginning, in the very beginning when he got there. But then he went on a stretch where he was one of our healthiest. And then
Right.
now, but the what worries me about Armstead is that it's feet issues, and feet issues just don't ever go away, especially for big guys. Like he gonna be talking about his feet for the rest of his life.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like,
and I just looked up Armstead. The last 4 seasons, he's played every game from 2018 to 2021. But like you said, man, those foot issues, it's just like, and he's already been ruled out for the game against the Saints. That's no surprise to me. I just don't think he's really going to be able to contribute. But at least he practiced today in a limited capacity, so that's good. But yeah, man, those foot issues are nothing nice to a 6'7", 300-pound guy.
300-pound man. Because they're saying that it's both feet. I heard rumors that it's both feet. It's not just the one.
Wow.
And that's what makes me just worry about him. Going forward, is that he's going to be playing, at the very least, he's going to be playing with pain if he does play.
Right.
And it's all about how much he can take. But
Kinlaw may play.
Kinlaw is going to be. I don't know what they're going to do. Well, I guess he's still on his rookie deal, so but they're not going to be able to get anything for Kinlaw.
No, I don't think, and I don't think they're going to exercise the 5th year of his contract either. No, they're not going to do that. So
yeah, no. So it's unfortunate for Kinlaw, but it's just business. I hate to say that about a young guy like that with as much talent as that kid has. It's just sometimes that we talked about that 300-pound dudes, and this time it's with his knees, and you got arthritis in your knees already. It's not going to get better. It's never going to get better.
And I don't blame Javon Kinlaw. I blame the Niners. There were issues or question marks about Javon Kinlaw's injury, specifically his knees coming out of college. So why the Niners would you draft him with the 1st round pick? Obviously you wanted to replace DeForest Buckner. Clearly that hasn't worked out, but I don't blame Javon. I wish him the best, because next year is next year is the 4th year. So he's still got another year, but he came into camp this year, best shape of his life.
Best shape of his life.
So it's like, how's it going to get better? Unfortunately, you're going to have to, he's going to be on the roster next year, but you have to move on as far as you need to get another defensive tackle, maybe 2, because we don't know what Armstead. So
I think that they have a lot of luck in those later rounds. They got Kevin Givens late. They got they've gotten a lot of guys late. DJ Jones, and So I don't worry about them finding talent. It just sucks. That he was a 1st round talent, and he still is a 1st round talent. But I think he's gonna be at best a situational, maybe just 1st downs. Because he's really better against the run than he is against as a pass rusher. So so maybe you put him in on 1st downs, and that's literally the only down you can play him. I don't know how that's going to work out, but let's move on to happier topics. But I want to talk about Womack a little bit, because do you think Womack's play is gonna eventually force D'Amico and Shanny to put him in permanently? Who do you think is keeping him out? Do you think D'Amico is keeping him out, or do you think it's Shanny saying that he like some ridiculous Shannyism that reason why he's keeping him out, trying to put him in the doghouse?
I think Lenore is probably playing better outside at least than they think Sammy Womack will. And also they prefer to have Jimmy Ward at that nickel spot as opposed to, Sammy Womack. And Jimmy Ward may be better in run support, but I would rather have Jimmy Ward back at that, free safety spot. And it's no knock to Tashawn Gibson, but I would rather have Jimmy Ward there. But that's the coach's
Tashawn
decision.
Gibson's, he's playing really well. Like
Right,
he
doesn't deserve to be benched, but Jimmy Ward deserves to have his starting spot back. Like, and you could do a 3 safety rotation. You could do that, which they kind of do now. But I think Womack's time will come though. His time will come for sure. Especially if Jimmy Ward is gone next year. But even if Jimmy Ward does stay next year, which is probably not likely, maybe Sammy Womack continues to get better. That's the thing with young guys. They have a pretty good year, but you got to build on that. You can't get stagnant. We don't want you to be, Ambry Thomas, you got to continue to get better.
Yeah. It's gonna be. I just really like Womack. I think that and I get it that he's got to fall in line and all that other stuff, but I mean, I just see the talent flashing before my eyes, and it's like, why? I mean, I get it that it was garbage time, but it doesn't matter when it is. Like, I mean, you don't see. I mean, have we seen Womack just get burnt off the? Like, I don't think I can remember a time when he just got burnt.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah,
and so I would rather see him line up against a receiver than Tashawn Gibson in man coverage line up against the receiver.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. But so we talked about Armstead and so we're gonna end the show with talking about the Saints. And what do you think? What scares you about this team? And what do you think that they could take? What of the 49ers do you think that they could take advantage of?
Well, what scares me about the Saints, Demario Davis at that middle linebacker spot, he flies around the field. He is an underrated middle linebacker. They also have Tyrann Mathieu. We know what he can do, especially in the passing game, and he helps a lot in run support. Marshawn Lattimore, questionable to play. Cameron Jordan, questionable to play as well. But those are their, best players. What's good, Roberto? Thanks for tuning in tonight. As far as what the 49ers can exploit, it's the run game. The Saints are pretty bad against the run. They allow about an average of 132
23rd.
yards.
I think they're ranked
game.
23rd.
Yeah. So they're in the back half of run defenses, and what do the Niners want to do? We want to run the ball. So I anticipate we'll win the time of possession on Sunday. Run the ball. Last week I think we didn't. I don't know if we hit 30 carries last week. I would have to look, but I think we'll definitely hit 30 carries in this game. But I think that's how you exploit the Saints. Run the ball, and hey, Jimmy just has to play turnover-free football.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I think what scares me the most about the Saints is that I don't want Andy Dalton to have some kind of resurgence, and and somehow Chris Olave is just burning us left and right. Like, but I don't see it happening because I mean the 49ers don't give up real big plays, but I think that's my biggest concern is that, and of course, the running back
Kamara.
Kamara getting the ball out of the backfield, just taking passes out of the backfield and screens, because this team just has a hard time with, our defense, that scheme just has a hard time with screens. So I just that's really my only concerns against them. And I'm sure that there's going to be some Saints fans out there that are just like, oh, you just don't know our team. And I'm sure that there's they've got talent on the team. I know they got Callaway and they've got a couple of other wide receivers
Chris
that are like
Olave.
Olave. They got physical talent. They got physically talented guys, but I think that they're hampered because of Andy Dalton a little bit. And Andy Dalton, to his credit, has looked better than Jameis Winston. So, so I mean, but I think a lot of it has to do with that coach, like Dennis Allen, right? Is the coach?
Yep. Yeah.
Like you spoke to the inconsistencies and the penalties. That always speaks to sloppy coaching. Always
to the coaching, exactly. Yeah, lack of leadership, because you either teach it in practice or you're allowing it. It's one of the two. So they have to nip that in the bud if they want to be where they want to be, a competitive team. I like what Randy said. He said, "I fear no saint except Saint Bernards. They're big."
Yeah, it's funny. And then my boy Rich in the building.
What's good? How y'all doing tonight, man? Thanks for coming in.
Yeah, appreciate all you guys coming in. But yeah, so what's your prediction for the game?
I predict the 49ers win at least by 10 points. I think 31-21 Niners win.
Yeah, I'm picking. I'm gonna be a little conservative, a little bit more conservative than you. I'm gonna go 27-21.
Okay.
Yeah. I honestly I don't think they're gonna score 21 points. But but I'm just going with it just because I'm worried about the short
week,
kind of the short turnaround.
That's true.
And the short turnaround, and then the 49ers I'm worried about the 49ers not showing us what they showed us in the last game. So, but
that is very true, because if the 49ers want to be one of the best teams in the NFL, you got to beat teams you're supposed to beat, and this is one of those games. You're clearly better than the Saints. Do what you're supposed to do. Show up there ready to play 60 minutes, and I think everything else will take care of itself. But there's no doubt you got to have the right intensity. Oh, I like Melissa's 41-10. All right.
She's not playing. And Raphael 27-16.
All right. That's still a double-digit victory. So yeah, I'll take that. Sure. Absolutely.
But hey, I appreciate you coming through, Jay. Like, it was great time having you. And thank you all the people in the comments, getting active in the chat. Everybody's showing up. I feel the love. And but yeah, Jay, why don't you tell them one more time where they can find you on the socials and where they can find all your content?
Hey, absolutely. I appreciate the invite today. Always great to collab with you, Peter, the Niner Fanatic Podcast. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. Tell a friend about Niner Fanatic Podcast. But you can find Jay in the Bay on Facebook, IG, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube. And I talk everything, of course, 49ers. I think I'll have a pregame show tomorrow night. And also a post-game show as well. And it may be a call-in show. So if you want, you could call into the show, express your thoughts about the game between the Saints. But man, I always appreciate the invite. And I'm looking forward to the next time we connect. And also, huge shout out to everyone that was in the chat. It's always a better show when people in the chat contribute. So appreciate you for having me on.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, like I said, you guys can get this. You're getting it from YouTube, or you can get it on Facebook, or you can watch it on Twitter. You can get the audio version wherever you get your audio versions. I'm also put my snippets out on Instagram and TikTok. I don't care where you get it, just go and get it.
Yeah.
So I appreciate all of you guys coming on. Please give me the like and subscribe. Please hit that bell so you get notified every time that I put content in. But yeah, I once again, so stoked to have Jay, and appreciate him coming through, and I appreciate all the listeners and the people in the chat. But we're gonna get out of here, and as always, it's go 49ers.
Absolutely, go Niners.